All right. Hello, everyone. We are getting ready to have a storm, and I'm down in my guest bedroom, which I kind of think of as my room of requirement because it just becomes whatever I need it to become. So today, it's my blocking room. So I actually have my finished Waterlillies Scarf. Doesn't it look lovely like this? Washed and ready to be kind of patted out, and then we're going to block it on the carpet today. And before I get started with all of that, because you know it's kind of exciting, we're going to block today, there are some things that you need. So a towel is good. Blocking wires are not a necessity, but boy do they make things easier. I'm just going to leave those down there. And then in addition to that, also nice to have stainless steel T-pins because you don't want ones that are going to rust. So T-pins, and I just keep them in this old little tin, but useful. So we're going to need those. Let's see, what else do I need to talk about quick? So, if you recall, this is like week 5 on our Waterlillies Scarf knit along. I finished my scarf. I actually had some yarn left over. I probably could have done 9 repeats on my Estonian leaves, but I went with what I had in the pattern, which was 8, and then I added 2 extra rows to the stockinette edge because again, I had enough yarn. And then I went ahead and I bound off, and I tried not to bind off too tightly. That's an important thing. But anyway, I pretty well followed my pattern, followed my directions, and I used that lovely Handmaiden Sea Silk, which is the fingering weight version of their 70% sea cell, 30% silk. No, 70% silk, 30% sea cell. I think I got that backwards. Anyway, it's silk and it's sea cell, which is essentially just yarn made from seaweed, which is pretty cool. Anyway. So, before we get down to the fun blocking part of this, I'm just going to show you what came in. Look! It's the Selbu Patterns book, brand new, just released. I have to ship one of these out that was already ordered, but look, this is like the companion book, just came out. Brand new, just came out. I have 3 other copies of this. I only ordered 4 of them. I would give up mine if somebody really wanted it. But yeah, look, it's the Selbu. So this is the same gal that did the Selbu mittens, only this time she did like patterns. So it's socks, hats, and sweaters. And again, you get the super nice charts. So anyway, yeah, look at this. I know. Anyway, so yeah, look at these. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Love it. So this came in, and I basically took a picture and sent it to Tina. I'm like, it's here. And then I immediately had to pack a book because I have to ship that out. So anyway, yes, this lovely. And I can of course get more copies of this, but I don't know, I got like 4 to start with. But look, it's here, it's here. This is one of the few books that I pre-ordered that I really didn't know what to expect, but of course it's gorgeous. And I will be doing more of my little book talk videos about this in the future, but I just had to show that off because it's here. So anyway, don't forget, Slow Yarn Crawl is ongoing through October 6th, so if you haven't finished a region, you still have time. If you haven't started, you still have time. So plenty of time. The other part is our Year of Self-Care is ongoing. Remember, August is still about mindfulness, and you do have a few days yet, today and tomorrow, to enter the monthly contest. I have a monthly contest, and people, all you got to do is just hashtag Black Sheep Fiber Emporium with something that you're working on with needlework. That's it. That's the contest. Just, you know, tag us so that we know that you're playing along. Tell your friends about it too so they can play as well. Anyway, having said that, let's go ahead and get into blocking, and we'll talk about some best practices. So first of all, the door is closed because I don't want my dog in here. If you have small children or dogs, you do want to make sure that you're blocking someplace that you can close your item off from your child and or pets so that they don't get a pin in a vital part. So that's key. When it comes to the washing, I went ahead and I just used cold water. You could use lukewarm water as well, and a little dab of a wool wash. I happen to use soak, but I also like Eucalyptus. Those are two of my favorites, as well as I like unicorn. I mostly use the unicorn for my wool wash, but I do occasionally use it for my knits. Anyway, so I just let this soak, and this, honestly, I let it soak for like over an hour. I probably didn't need to do it that long, but I was just kind of down here, and I just got it started. So once that's done, and you have gently drained your water, and I did have some excess dye that came off in the wash. That's to be expected, especially with indie dyed yarns, really saturated colors. That's not an unexpected thing. So knowing that that can happen, I grabbed a colored towel so that I can take my piece, and it's amazing how much it grows when you block it. And I'm just going to vaguely fold this in half, and then I want to roll it up in the towel. And I'm going to do one of my favorite things, which is to step on it, because I weigh enough, most people weigh enough, that when I step on my rolled up towel, that I am going to gently take out a lot of the water, but it isn't really going to harm my fabric. And I do this with wool, not just with my silk and sea cell. So, having done that, there we go. We took out some of the moisture, but it's still very clearly wet. Nice and wet. All right, so there she is. Now I should mention, before I washed this, I did take my ends and I wove both of my ends in. It's very important to always weave your ends in, before you wash and block your piece. And the reason that we want to do that is so that when we go to pull on our fabric and we shift it into place to dry, that our ends don't pop out and we don't have issues with them popping out later. So that's a Kelli tip right there. Anyway, so then I'm just going to take this, I'm going to spread that out. And now you're going to move down to the floor with me. So much fun on the floor. Okay, welcome to the floor. Welcome to the floor. Let's see if I can get this to tip down a little. There we go. Tip down. And let's flip this. Oh, hello. That was a good shot of me. All right, so here we go. Got a nice close shot. So you can already see, I mean, just with a little bit of stretching, just with a touch of stretching right here. I haven't even blocked this, right? Just a touch of stretching is already opening this up. Look at how nice this looks. Look at how pretty it is. I really like this colorway. I wasn't sure at first that it was going to show off well, but I think it does. I think it does. Looks pretty good. So when it comes to blocking, some of our key components are going to be that we're going to use the wires. If you don't have wires, you can just pin your edges. You can also use string, and you can loop string through your edges and then pin that string out instead of actually pinning your edge. Those are options. There's also big blocking boards, but I really like using blocking wires myself, and then my stainless steel T-pins. So again, really important things here. Pins and wires. Okay, so it doesn't look too bad, does it? Nope. All right, so I'm gonna flip this around. We're gonna talk again. It's just so much fun. We're back and forth, back and forth. All right, gonna join me here on the floor. So, when it comes to straight edges, one of the things that I like to do is I like to take my blocking wire and I like to weave it across, if I want a really straight edge, like every 2 stitches, just back and forth. And I'm just taking that wire and I'm just poking it through every couple of stitches. And the goal is that I want to have it as kind of straight along that wire as possible. So you don't want big gaps. You just kind of want to take that tip and go back and forth and back and forth. And your blocking wires are fairly flexible, or they should be fairly flexible, so that you should be able to bend this tip back and forth and just keep sliding again, back and forth, so that you can try to get as straight an edge as possible. Straight edges are, I think, a lot harder to block than what curved and pointed edges are, because they just need a little more coaxing along the edges. And you'll see that once I get my 2 straight edges done. When we go to do the points are a lot faster than these straight edges. So I like to take my blocking wires, and I kind of like to put all the blocking wires in, and sometimes I pin like halfway through. Most of the time I don't really start pinning until I have at least 3/4 of my blocking wires in, because I want the flexibility of being able to move my piece and being able to move those blocking wires, but just back and forth and back and forth. And a lot of times I will go ahead and I'll secure these corners with an extra pin. Extra pins are good things. And taking your time and taking care with your blocking makes a huge, huge difference in your overall finish on your piece. So this one clearly took 1 wire. It's definitely going to take at least 2 wires along this edge. And I'm going to start from my short end just because it'll be easier to manipulate the fabric, but I'm doing the same thing. So while I'm doing this, does anyone have questions about blocking? Something that I haven't covered so far, like make sure that you soak your piece, that you are using a gentle wool wash of some sort. I know this isn't wool, but I still used a wool wash because I wanted something gentle, a gentle soap. And the reason that I do that is because it takes out excess dye, it takes out your hand oils, it takes out dust. There's a ton of reasons why you would want to wash and not necessarily block, but at least wash everything that you've made before you gift it to someone. Just my hand oils are enough to make me, change it up. Anyway, so yeah, use cold to lukewarm water, use a gentle wash, and you want to let it soak a minimum of 20 minutes, no more than usually an hour. Usually an hour is more than enough. Sometimes I forget things though, and so I come back several hours later and usually it's still fine. It's hard to ruin something by soaking it too long. It can be done, but so long as it's within the same day, usually you're fine. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you? Make sure that you aren't overly agitating your piece unless you are trying to felt it. If you are trying to felt it, you'll definitely want to agitate your piece. But if you are not trying to felt your piece, then definitely be careful with the agitation. You kind of just want to squeeze the excess water out and then do what I did, and that's roll it in the towel. And then again, I like to step on my towel because I like to use my own body weight to help squish the water out. You don't have to do that. You can just lean on it if you'd like, or you can, or you don't even have to do that. You can just squish it with your hands. But I just really like to step on my towel because I like the extra body weight to help get the excess water out. All right, so now, how are we doing? Almost there. So I'm almost to the point where I don't have a lot of wire left here. As you can see when I stretch it out. And I don't have a lot of wire up here because this is what I'm using to very carefully weave back and forth along the edge. And again, I'm just going like every other ridge because I'm trying to make this a nice straight piece. But I'm almost to the point where I need to put another wire in. Now when I put another wire in, which I have to do now, I like to weave my wire through a little bit of the edge that has already been done before I actually start using it. And part of the reason I do that is, again, for continuity's sake. So I am trying to keep that edge as straight as possible. So here I have just, let me see if I can, I have to get a little bit more on here and then I can show you. So here I have woven both of the wires through these bumps. And I'll smooth this out once we lay it down. And I will probably lay this out and then show you how to do the points kind of as a downward view. Because that will be easier on this one. But again, I'm just going back and forth like approximately every other ridge. I'm just trying, again, I'm trying to go a little bit slow, but pay attention and make sure that it is as straight as possible when I do this. More blocking wires are always better than fewer when it comes to doing a really nice edge on something. I have been known to skimp, especially when I'm in a hurry and I'm trying to block too many pieces at once. And in fact, I have some more pieces that I need to block. I have several pieces I need to block. But they cannot be done until this one is done because we had a schedule I had to keep. So, plus I've been busy. I have made like 29 gallons worth of pickles this year, mostly dill pickles. But at least 3 or 4 of those have been bread and butter, but mostly dill pickles, because that's what my people like, is mostly dill pickles. I give them as gifts, if you're wondering. Yes, that's a lot of frickin' dill pickles. So many dill pickles. I'm so tired of canning pickles. In fact, I'm so tired of canning pickles that I made a new friend. And one of the things I did was I gave her a giant load of cucumbers to go make pickles from yesterday. Because I'm like, I just don't want to make pickles anymore. Can you please take these? So she did. I also need suggestions for banana peppers. If anybody knows of anything to do with banana peppers besides pickling them, please let me know. I've seen some stuffed recipes, and I found this unstuffed banana pepper soup that I want to try. But I have way too many banana peppers as well. I should do a walkthrough of the garden at some point soon, because my heavens, it's a little crazy. Okay, yay. All right, so here's my edge. So I've got my short edge and my long straight edge, and you can see it's trying to creep off the end there. So I'm gonna lay it down. Lay it down. I may be a little bit off camera, just bear with me. Friends, bear with me while I move this around a dab. Okay, now I am using my carpet. You could definitely use some blocking mats at this point. I know my carpet has a mat under it, and it's reasonably new. If you have older carpet, you may not want to do this. If you have hardwood floors, please don't do this. Use blocking mats if you have a hardwood floor. It'd be really bad to put pinpricks in that. All right, let me show you what we're starting to get here. I'm gonna flip that end out. Just gotta be careful I don't pull it loose. Okay, I'm gonna flip this around. Hang on. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There we go. See if that's a decent angle. Yeah, it's all right. Okay, so here I have my short end. Here is well, I should say this is my short end. This is my narrow end. And these are going to be the loops that we will pull out along the edge. And again, I'm not really going to pin this down until I have these loops hooked with my blocking wires. But what I will do is I'll sort of spread this out a little bit because I want to make sure that you can see there that this end doesn't come off the very edge of my blocking wire. So what I may do, just to be sure, is I want to put my pin in. I'm going to put my pin in kind of through the edge of this, and I'm also going to make sure that I've angled my pin in so that it holds it down. And now, again, I'm not truly pinning this, I'm just putting a couple of placeholders in. So I went ahead and I put another placeholder in right here, just a little off screen, right here, just to hold this end down while I start working on the points. So here's our points. And there's a little pseudo point up here. It's a tiny one that's part of the setup chart, but I'm going to go ahead and hook that one. And this particular pattern, the way that I wrote it, I have these yarn overs along the edge. And I've got a double line of yarn overs to increase it and a single line of yarn overs to decrease it. So I just have to decide if I want to hook it through the last increase or the first decrease. I think I'm going to do the last increase one. So we're going to do the last increase loop. So we can tell that right here. And I can tell this is my last increase loop because I can see the line of stitching right here. Let's see if I can tip this over right here. So that helps. And again, we're just going to go slow, make sure that I continue to hook through that last increase loop. And I know that this one has 2 angles on it. So I know it angles this way, and then it has a straight-ish edge on the other points. So what I want to do is go ahead, and I know I've got 8 points, because if you remember we had 8 repeats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, and 7. Oh, you can't see me. There we go. And 8. So this is my last point along my increase row. So I am going to put 1 wire on this one. And now we're going to get another wire to do the other edge. So even though it kind of looks like there's only 3 edges on this, we're essentially treating it as, I think it's a trapezoid, isn't it? Or it has 3 straight edges and 1, no, that's not right. Whatever. Anyway, 3 straight edges, 1 angled edge. I don't know, there's some word for this, but my brain doesn't work. I had my child and lost all of my words. Anyway. Mom brain is a real thing. Do. I'm doing the same thing again though. I'm trying to identify my last, there it is, yarn over loop, double yarn over loop on my increase round. There we go. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see. No, you can't see that at all. Move you back up here again. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be 7. And this will be 8. Okay, so now we can kind of see the shape of this. And now comes a little bit of the magic. It's really nice to have a tape measure. Of course, I didn't grab one. But it's really nice to have a tape measure when you're doing this. And you can clearly see the delineation here between our 2 patterns. But part of what we want to do when we're pulling this out is we want to make sure that we are trying to make these rows as straight as possible. And that's where again, a measuring tape would help. But I'm going to eyeball it because, well, you know, that's what I have to do now. So I'm going to tip you guys up a little bit so you can watch me work. Hopefully this will be not too terrible. There we go. Okay, so I just kind of want to ease my edges, and I want to try to get a reasonably straight edge up in here. And I'm going to just drop some anchor point pins. So not too many because I don't want to have to move all of these again later. And then kind of the same thing here. I'm just going to sort of evaluate how straight my rows are and drop an anchor point pin. And when I do my edges, especially my points, I try to angle my T-pins so that they angle in towards my piece so that it helps to hold the line a little bit straighter. Because if you angle them like this, then the wires can creep up the posts. So if you angle it against it, it helps to keep it in place. So let's see how this is looking. Not terrible, not terrible. Now most patterns also give you measurements, so you can block two similar measurements. The issue with this one is that I am using a different yarn and a very different yarn, like fiber content, than what was called for in the pattern. And as a result of that, my pattern, my finished, I should say, project, may be a little bit different in terms of size. All right, let me turn this over here so you can watch me work over here. Okay, so all I've done is I dropped an anchor pin in here. Now I'm out of pins, and I've got one here. We're about to get a really good storm too. I can hear it rolling in. And this time I'm actually going to put a pin between my 2 points to help hold this curve a little more. And then I can see I need to pin up here. You can see this is trying to draw in. So we have to straighten this out. And I do like to make sure on these straight edges that I am inserting that pin through the fabric, not just by the wire. And that again has to do with making sure that that I get a straighter edge. And then where I have overlap, again, I like to drop an extra pin or two in place. And I can go back now and see that I need to stretch this just a little bit more. I'm sure this is a super flattering angle as well. Okay, so this isn't bad. And now that I have most of my pins in and I can see the shape of my piece, ooh, this is some fun, like, blue pooling here. Okay, sorry, distracted. The next thing that I want to do is evaluate where I can stretch my my piece just a little bit more to get just a little more width down here in my base. I can see that this edge isn't quite as straight as I would like on my points. So my next little adjustment is going to be over here. Bringing these pins out. Okay, so again, I'm eyeballing this. If you had a tape measure, it would probably go a little bit easier. But there we go. It doesn't look too bad. Again, I like to use, I put 2 wires along this outside edge, 1 wire at the short end, 1 wire along the straight portion, and then 1 wire along my angled portion with my flowers that are growing. And I think I've got a pretty good stretch on this. It's still damp. Sometimes when I block, my pieces dry out too fast. So that's also a good reason not to take all the water out of your piece. You can, of course, steam block. Steam blocking is a totally valid way to block. I just really love the finish that I get from a proper full wet blocking. So that's why I have done a proper full wet blocking, and I don't think it looks too bad. Now, I'm probably going to come back in here with the tape measure. Ooh, yeah, I need a pin right here. See how this is, you can see the angle on it and how this is trying to pull in a little bit. So that tells me I need a pin. Just gonna draw that out a smidge. There we go. That's another thing. Sometimes getting up and looking at your piece really gives you an angle on it so you can see, yeah, it looks pretty straight though otherwise. If you need to drop another pin in somewhere or fix it. I think it looks pretty good. What do you guys think? I think it looks pretty good. It's not bad. You know, these edges are about as straight as I can get them at the moment. I probably should have gone a little bit slower. I was talking to you guys and I missed right here. I didn't do as good a job. Here it's pretty good. Right here I've got some bubbles where I didn't weave back and forth the way I should have. Now, if I was really doing a competition, I would take that wire out and redo it. But I'm not. This isn't for competition. This is just for me because I made it with you guys because it was fun to do a knit along. So anyway, here is our finished, blocked, not fully dry, but blocked and finished Waterlillies scarf. It looks gorgeous out of my handmaiden sea silk. I cannot wait to wear this in a video. And remember, I won't be here next week for the video. I will be back. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm taking next week off. I need a little break, but I'll be back. And we'll be talking about the stitch along, and we'll be talking about spin together when I come back, and we'll be doing some Mediterranean knotted lace, and there's all kinds of fun stuff. But I'm still here Wednesday, so Wednesday we are going to talk about, I think, the hand-spun, hand-dyed, hand-woven piece that I'm still working on. It's not finished, of course, because I've been working on this and buying books for the shop because the books are fun. Anyway. So that's the plan, at least for this week. I won't be back next week, but I'll be here the week after that. I put the events up on Facebook so you know when to expect me. But don't forget that if you subscribe to the YouTube channel or you subscribe to the Facebook page, then anytime I post, you get a little notification. So you know when I put fun stuff up. Anyway, so that's kind of my plan. That's what's happening. So until Wednesday, remember to go do the slow crawl if you're slow crawling. Go post for the Year of Self-Care. Check out the sampler kit. I have it on the website. You can find it in our embroidery section and in our kits, I believe. If you search Star Map, it should come up too. Anyway, just throwing that out there because I do have to pre-order those, and I will get, you know, a couple of extras, but they're really awesome, and I can't wait to stitch it with you. So, you know, go check those out. And then, what else do I need to tell you? We have lots of fun books, so many fun books, and I can't wait to put more book talks up. Remember, I'm putting those book talks up mostly on YouTube, but I sometimes remember to put them up on Facebook or link them out of our IGTV channel. So, throwing that out there. And we're on TikTok. Sometimes I put them on TikTok too. So, we have way too many social media channels. That's really what it comes down to. But, you know, follow us wherever you like to follow us because you'll find great stuff there. Just throwing that out. So until next time, do please take care of yourself for your mental health. So mentally, physically, emotionally, and craftually. Those things. Okay? Mentally, emotionally, physically, and craftually. Please take care of yourself so that you can keep joining me on my live videos and checking out the videos that we post to YouTube and everywhere else. So, and make sure you subscribe. It helps us out. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Take care.